Hey everybody, my name is Jay Miner, and together with my wife Tracy, we lead the South Orange County Church. I want to welcome you to our Connect video series, where every week we get together and we talk about something in the scriptures, something Jesus said or did, or something that his followers said or did, and we discuss it and we talk about it. And we talk about how it applies to our lives today, and we do believe that by doing that, it can really help us to find some peace in this crazy world that we're in. So we do have a deep conviction that by getting together at the beginning of the week every week, it sets a great spiritual tone for the rest of the week. And so we do that by gathering in small groups. So we have small groups that are meeting all over South Orange County right now. Hopefully there is one meeting within 10 minutes of where you are. That's our goal anyhow, is to get there. And so we would love to invite you to join one of those. You can stay till the end to find out how to do that. But if you are in one of our small groups, I'm really glad that you guys are back, and look forward to talking to you today. We are on location again today, and unfortunately, to the great dismay of all, my wife is not joining us today, and it's just me. But Tracy, we're actually up in Idlewild for our second week at youth camp, and she ended up having to go home this morning before we could record our video, and so she is home, but I am here, and so today you got me. So I hope that everybody can get over that, and I do believe that we're still going to have a great time, and I think you're going to have a great discussion anyhow. So with that, I say we go ahead and jump in. Welcome back. So last week, I heard that there was some really great discussion. We were talking about being in God's presence and being seen by God and feeling soothed by God and feeling safe. And I just had some great conversations with different people, even over text, just about how that discussion went. And so I really appreciate you guys leaning into that. So I know the month of July is crazy and people are all over the place. There's all kinds of things going on. But I'm grateful for those who are still in town and who are still trying to build community. You know, I'm up here at camp, and last week we had teen camp, and this week we have youth camp. So last week it was all the teenagers. This week it's all the preteens, 5th through 8th grade. And I'm learning a lot just about engaging with people, and I'm learning a lot about working with people. And when you try to put on 2 different camps with 2 different sets of staffs and 2 different groups of people, 2 different mindsets and 2 different philosophies, there are many, many opportunities for growth and for learning. And God is amazing because he steps in all these situations, and he uses every circumstance and every situation to teach everyone something. And so he has been teaching me a lot over these last couple weeks, and I'm really grateful for that. And I'm trying to be mindful of those lessons. And I don't know if you've ever been in that situation where you're like, I know that this is something I need to be learning, but I really don't want to be learning a lesson right now. This is not what I want. I want everything to go my way, or I want to be able to tell everybody what I think my way should be, or I just want everything to stop, and just something is bothering you, you know. And I've found myself in that situation this week where no, this is not going the way that I think it should go, and I think it should be this way. And so I wrestle with my control issues, as well as my surrender issues, as well as my willingness to lean in and work with other people, and my ability to have conversations that bring people together and do all these things. So it has really been, it's been a great opportunity and a great experience, and I'm really, really grateful. I'm very tired, and I would like to come home. So hopefully by the time that you're watching this video, actually, I will be home, which is really awesome, and I'm excited about that. But it really got me thinking as I've been studying through the book of Acts, and Trace and I keep talking about all these different stories, but I was thinking about the idea of community. Because right here in the book of Acts, when the church starts, it is the beginning of this new church. We got people from all over the known world at the time that are coming into Jerusalem, and it's the day of Pentecost. They can't believe the message. The Messiah is here, so they just stay in Jerusalem. And we have thousands of people that are now in this new community, this new family. And so you can imagine, like, if everybody is going to the Olympics in Japan this year, and they go to the Olympics, and then for whatever reason there's a message or a situation so powerful that they don't come back home. They go to the Olympics to watch the Olympics, but then they end up there like, I have to stay here. This is now where my life is. This is so powerful. I have to stay here in Tokyo. And so they stay in Tokyo, and then they have to move in with some of their new Japanese friends, and they have to find new friends. And so there's all these people all over the place that are trying to find places to live. They're trying to find work. They're trying to figure out how to pay for food and lodging and all these different things. And this is what was going on in Jerusalem. As the church was starting, they were overwhelmed with this incredible sense of joy. And they came together like there were no needy persons among them, and they devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching and to fellowship. And they were together, breaking bread together. They were praying together. It was this really powerful situation. And then as the church started to grow, they started to see amazing things happening. Peter and John were like healing people on the way to the temple, and then they were healing all these other people, and people would just come try to find the apostles and everyone that came was healed, is what the scriptures say. So, I mean, just a powerful sense of what was going on in the church, and the Holy Spirit is moving in the church, and that's awesome. But I also have been thinking about what was it like in the community? What was it like as this church was coming together? What was it like as they were learning how to live together? And as they were learning how to get along, you know, when you bring people together from different situations, there can be challenges. There's great things about being in community, but there can be challenges about it. I want you to think about your small group. I want you to think about the challenges that you have sometimes. Don't look at them if they're there right now, but the challenges that you can have sometimes with the people in your small group. That you're trying to live in community, but you have a different version of it or a different vision of it than they do. And so maybe you don't, it doesn't always work out the way that you want. Or you've known somebody for 10 years or 15 years, and you know all of their idiosyncrasies and their irritations and the things that they do to bug you. And you know when they start talking exactly how long they're going to talk and what they're going to talk about. And it's like, here we go again. And so you can have those feelings. And so sometimes we stop engaging in the benefits of community. But this is it. Like, Jesus wanted us to live together in community. Jesus did not die on the cross so that we could gather together with a group of people that we don't really know that well in a particular building for an hour a week and sing some songs and pray a prayer and eat a little bit of bread and drink some grape juice. That's not why Jesus died on the cross. Jesus died on the cross so that we could become the church, so that we could become this community, so that we could bring the kingdom into reality. That's why Jesus died on the cross. And when we diminish it down to coming to a church service on Sunday, we are completely missing the point. It's about us living together during the week. It's about the way that we treat the other people in our small group. It's a way that we treat the other people in our church. It's a way, with all the people in the South Orange County Church, how do you treat them? How do you view them? How do you feel about them? That is what Jesus is interested in, and that is why Jesus died on the cross, is so that we could now bring the kingdom into reality. So I started thinking about a couple of these stories that we read in the book of Acts. So Acts chapter 5, it's the story of Ananias and Sapphira, and I know the women talked about it in their midweek several weeks back. But we always talk about this story because we're talking about, deception, and then they lied, and then they died, and it was crazy, and there's all that crazy stuff. But I started thinking about it in terms of community and just how interesting it is that, when you are in a group of people, one of the temptations that I think all of us feel is that I want the other people in my community to think well of me. I want the other people in my community to think that I'm awesome. And so sometimes we will present ourselves in such a way that then other people will think that we're great and we're awesome. And I see, the Bible doesn't tell us exactly what Ananias and Sapphira's motivation was. But we do see in there that they wanted to present a certain image. This is the price that we paid for this land. And if you don't know the story well, what was going on in the church was that people were selling land, the land that they had, and they were bringing the money to the apostles and saying, hey, we know we got all these Christians that are here and don't know where to go and don't have money to buy food to eat. So here, take this money. I sold my land and here's the money for it. So that was happening. That was something that was going on. And so Ananias and Sapphira sold some of their land, and then they came in, but they kept part of the money back, part of their profit back. But they said, hey, this is how much we sold our land for. And so they lied about how much they sold their land for because they wanted to appear as if they were giving all that they had sold the money for. When really God had never asked them even to do that. That wasn't even a requirement. It was just what somebody else did, but peer pressure. How other people think about them started to get into their minds. And that's what happens with us, even in our church in the 21st century. We're worried about what other people in the church think about us. We won't actually be honest about what is going on in our life because we're worried about what other people think about us. We won't be vulnerable about the temptations that we're facing or the struggles that we're having or what's going on with our kids or our marriage because we're afraid of what people will think. And this is what I believe what Ananias and Sapphira were dealing with. And so when you're having this idea of community and living together, that's one thing that we have to really be careful of, is not trying to impress the people that are around us. And then I think about the story in Acts chapter 6, and this is this famous story where you had the Grecian Jews, the widows who were of the Grecian Jews were being overlooked. They were giving food to the widows in the church. But the widows of the Grecian Jews, the people that did not speak Hebrew, were being overlooked and weren't really getting all the food. But the widows from the Hebrew Jews, the ones who spoke Hebrew, they were getting more. It was kind of like just a favoritism thing. And who knows if it was if it was a sin issue, or it was a lack of communication issue, or if it was what the motivation was. We don't really know, and the Bible doesn't really tell us. But they did have this problem. And right there, see, in this story, we always go on and we read this story so that we can say, hey, how you deal with things in the church is you appoint people to deal with things so that the leaders of the church, or the ministers of the church, the evangelists, the shepherds, the elders, they can be focused on prayer and the ministry of the word. And so we need to have deacons who actually take care of some of these issues. And that is why we read this story. But I want to just back up a little bit. So in this moment where you've got the Grecian Jews widows who are being overlooked in the distribution of food, right then, it's this opportunity for there to be discord and distrust within the community. And it's like the enemy, Satan, our enemy, he throws in these little things at this moment where he gives us this opportunity to start going, I can't believe they did that. And we turn other people into a they. We turn people that Jesus died for, that have decided to follow him, other Christians, other people who love him, who are in our church, maybe even people that we study the Bible with and baptized, or people that study the Bible with us and baptized us. All of a sudden now we're looking at them like, I cannot believe that they would do that. And we have an us versus them mentality with other people in the church. And like I said, as I've been navigating, helping to run these two camps over the last couple of weeks, there've been a lot of those opportunities along the way for me to look at people as a they. Well, why did they make that decision? Well, I would not make that decision. I wouldn't do it like that. Well, why don't they listen to me? Why don't they take my advice? And it's all these little moments where I could step into it and go, yeah. It's like these thoughts pop in my head, and I have an opportunity to go, yeah, why, man? And then I can lay there at night and the thoughts will go around in my head. And so what I've been trying to do is I've been trying to grab each of those thoughts. And I think about that scripture in Corinthians where it says, take captive every thought and make it obedient to Christ. And so I'm trying to listen to my thoughts, and I see the ones that are going on, and I look for the opportunities that will lead me to distance or discord or frustration. And I try to identify them and observe them and go, if I continue down this train of thought, I'm going to start thinking really negative things about that person or that group of people. And I'm going to start to feel an us versus them mentality. And it doesn't just happen in a situation like this in a camp. This happens in everyday life. You can even feel that in your family, with people in your family, with your kids. Why are they doing that to me? We get that thing of it's us versus them. But Jesus came so that we could have a kingdom that was not like that. He came so that we could have a kingdom that was different than that, where we all actually come together and make things work together, and we overlook one another's sin, and we work together for unity, and we give out grace like we're made of the stuff. And we treat one another with love and patience and kindness, and we believe the best in each other. And we try to have compassion on what someone's feeling and try to understand why they might be reacting in a certain way. What really helps me as I'm dealing with these kind of things is to go, usually it boils down to fear. If someone is acting in a way that is frustrating or confusing or just wrong, it's because they're afraid of something. And so if I can slow down enough to identify what is it that they are afraid of, what is the fear that they might be feeling, then that gives me a lot more compassion for them. And then I'm able to lean into this sense of community and go, oh, man, that must be hard to feel afraid of that. And let me see what I can do to help them win in this situation. I did some work with a life coach several years back, and just going through some different things and ways to approach things and think about things. And one of the things that really helped me as I was dealing with that, and this guy was great Christian and just super deep faith. And he was really helping me think about things differently. But one of the things he was helping me think about was, how do you approach every situation where everyone can win? So instead of approaching a conflict like I'm going to try to win in this conflict and tell them that they're wrong, I actually want to approach this so that I can make sure that they win and that those other people win. And if God allows, that I also can win. But actually, if other people can win in this situation, then God wins, and I'm actually okay with that. And so that's what I try to move into that. So if I'm going to, even this morning I had a meeting, and as I was praying before the meeting, I was like, okay, God, I was afraid that there was going to be some conflict about a certain situation and a certain decision. And I kept thinking, I want to go into this with this idea of, how do I help everybody who's in this meeting to walk out of there feeling like it was a victory? And that is my goal as I do that. So I want you to be thinking about how you do that in your small group. Can you walk out of every time you're with your small group where everyone else feels like it was a victory because of you? They feel like it was a victory because of the way that you communicated and the way that you talked. Like, you brought about a piece of the kingdom of God. You brought it into your small group. And you wanted to make sure that everybody there was going to win. And you let God do what God does. So it really reminds me of this passage in James chapter 3. And it's out of the Message translation, which I totally love. But in verse 17 and 18, it says, real wisdom, God's wisdom, it begins with a holy life and is characterized by getting along with others. I love that. So God's wisdom is characterized by getting along with others. It is gentle and reasonable, overflowing with mercy and blessings, not hot one day and cold the next, not two-faced. You can develop a healthy, robust community that lives right with God and enjoy its results only if you do the hard work of getting along with each other, treating each other with dignity and honor. And this is what has been helping me and guiding me these past few weeks. And I really pray that this idea will help you and guide you too, as you are developing a sense of family and community within your small group, as you are trying to make it a piece of the kingdom of heaven on earth, as you are trying to create an environment where people will feel welcome and want to come and be a part of it, as you are doing your best to create a church where people want to grow and are attracted to the love of God. I pray that you will also just lean into loving each other and really believing in one another and doing the hard work of getting along with each other. It's one thing to be polite to one another. It's one thing to know people for many years and just say, oh yeah, I know that guy, and I kind of know who they are. It's another thing to do the hard work of getting along with each other. And so for the South Orange County Church, that's what I desperately want us to do, is do this hard work of getting along with each other. So I pray that you have great discussions in your groups today. Talk about what it feels like to be in community with one another. Talk about taking captive every little thought that pops up that wants to pull you off of the path of unity and put you on the path of discord. Talk about what the real hard work of kingdom living looks like for you. And I pray that your group will actually be able to even, maybe there'll even be some apologies. Maybe there'll even be some moments where people are like, you know what? I do want to do a better job of that. And I'm sorry that I have not given my whole heart to this. I would love that if there were some of that type of conversation going on, which I think would be great. So have great conversations. And I really look forward to more and more discussions about living in community in the weeks and the months to come. If you are not in one of our small groups and you would like to be, we would love to have you join us. We have some all over South Orange County. And so if you want to find out more about us and about our church, send me an email at socchurch@occhurchofchrist.com. That's socchurch@occhurchofchrist.com. And I will get back to you and help get you in touch with a group that is near you. And we would love to have you join us again. We've got a lot of these videos on our YouTube channel, so you can go back and check some of those out if you're looking for some encouragement during the week. And we've got some great things there. And if you have held on this long, I want to encourage you and say you did a great job because you made it this far even without Tracy next to me. So next week she will be back and it will be better, and we'll have a great conversation. So thank you guys for listening. Love you very much, and I'll see you soon.